In a 16th century depiction of Indigenous American queerness, Álvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca describes, "During the time I was among them, I saw something very repulsive, namely, a man married to another. Such are impotent and womanish beings who dress like women and perform the office of women, but use the bow and carry big loads." 5 ships left from Spain in 1527, with 600 troops, indentured servants, slaves, wives, and navigators, on an infamous Spanish attempt led by conquistador Pánfilo de Narváez to permanently settle La Florida and find gold. Second in command, Cabeza de Vaca recounts his journey in the 1542 book Relación. More than 140 crew members jumped ship at a rest stop in Hispaniola, having lost faith in the endeavor. While stopped in Cuba for supplies, competing storms killed 60 more people. Cabeza de Vaca describes a cacophonous scene. "In this plight we heard, all night long and especially after midnight, a great uproar, the sound of many voices, the tinkling of little bells, also flutes and tambourines and other instruments, the most of which noise lasted until morning, when the storm ceased." This is one of the earliest European descriptions of Indigenous American life. 400 men and 4 ships eventually dropped anchor near present-day Tampa Bay, Florida, on April 14, 1528, in sight of a coastal Indian town. On Good Friday, April 15th, the Spanish entered the town to find it abandoned. Narváez describes seeing a building so large that it could hold 300 people. The next day, the townspeople returned, making gestures suggesting the Spanish leave. Upon further exploration, the Spanish then encountered 4 more Indians, captured them, and asked them if they had ever seen maize. The Indians replied affirmatively and brought the Spanish to their village, where they saw pieces of gold. The Indians explained to the Spanish that this gold came from the inland province of the Appalachee, a land of plenty. Governor Narváez split his crew in 2. 100 continued sailing to locate a good site for settlement. He never saw them again, while Narváez himself led a 300-man expedition to the land of the Appalachee, using enslaved Indians as guides. As they marched, they plundered Indian villages, stealing their food and taking more slaves. On June 25, 1528, they arrived in Appalachee territory and immediately took captives, inspiring the natives to viciously attack the Spanish the next day, setting fire to the lodges they occupied. The Spanish ultimately found the land sparse. As the expedition continued, illness enveloped a third of the crew. Horsemen disappeared in secret. Indian attacks continued as they navigated the swamp. To survive and escape Florida, the Spanish ate their horses, melted down all their metal to make tools, chopped down some trees, built 5 30-foot-long boats, and sailed from island to island in the Gulf of Mexico. 2 out of 5 rafts made it to what is now Texas. Narváez was dead. Malnourishment, cannibalism, and disease whittled the survivors down to 15. Enslavement by coastal Coahuiltecan Indians initially separated Cabeza de Vaca from his compatriots. After a year, he escaped bondage and began acting as a middleman in regional trade. He eventually reunited with 3 other captured survivors, including Estebanico, an already enslaved African, and plotted their escape. At a prickly pear harvest festival among local tribes, the 4 survivors successfully fled, traversing present-day Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. Estebanico often went ahead, as his propensity for language enabled him to pick up regional dialects. In a 16th century depiction of Indigenous American queerness, Cabeza de Vaca describes, "During the time I was among them, I saw something very repulsive, namely, a man married to another. Such are impotent and womanish beings who dress like women and perform the office of women, but use the bow and carry big loads." The 4 eventually encountered Spanish soldiers after years. Upon their return to Mexico City in 1536, the Spanish re-enslaved Estebanico, and Cabeza de Vaca returned to Europe. Cabeza de Vaca's Relación portrays an indigenous world already in flux, reconfiguring in the face of not only European conquest and settlement, but also European pathogens.